Inwards, outwards. Inwards, outwards.
Hi. Hello. Here we are. Wow. October 2022, IWOW, going strong. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Kristen Grippo. I'm your host and guide this evening. Welcome to the Center for Peace Through Culture, formerly Deb Kaufman's art studio. We just are standing here in full gratitude to Deb and what she's given us. And thank you to Andreas, I'll say it now and later, for stewarding this amazing space. Yeah, thank you. And so we have a theme tonight, it being the fall and coming upon the Halloween season and going inward. We have a theme of skeletons in the closet. So I just want to preface this whole evening, this being always having been a safe space for all. We come here to be our weird, amazing, wild selves in all ways. And so there might be weeping, there might be shrieking, there might be belly laughs, there might be some macabre topics. So, brace yourselves and be prepared for this fabulous journey that's going to unfold as we get through this list of participants. So I will start. We'll start us off, and I'll like I said, I'll be your guide through the night. Some announcements. Let's see. The bathrooms out there, up the stairs. Cell phones off. You don't really get good service here anyway. Please. And double check because some turn the volume or whatever. Thank you. Donation of $5 or whatever you can to the Center for Peace Through Culture for the space, for the heat, for the snacks. And as a performer, if you need anything like help with the mic or if things moved, ask myself. You can also ask Andreas. The mic is like this. So. And it also comes off fancy. And we are being recorded by CTSB. If you don't want to be recorded, just let us know and we'll turn the camera off, okay? Anything else? I don't think so. So without further ado, I'm going to start, we're going to have a gift of Christina Koldis playing the auto harp. Welcome.
Want the mic or?
I think you need.
Oh, you need the mic. Yeah, you need the mic.
I really don't. He needs the mic. I don't need the mic.
Is that good?
It looks good to me. I'm happy. I don't know. It's about him. I'm pretty loud, so. For those of you that haven't seen me before, this is an auto harp. I used to play guitar. I was a young hippie, and now I'm an older hippie, more mature. And, the guitar was like this. I loved it. Good guitar. Years old, back in the 70s. Then I had 2 rotator cuff operations. And I tried the dulcimer. I couldn't put my arm and hold it there. It just ached. So I tried the dulcimer. Are you anybody familiar with the dulcimer? Yeah. I like the drone, but I just need a little bit more. And so I discovered this instrument called an auto harp. And you hold the buttons down, you run here. Hopefully you find the right button, and I'm hoping it is. I do this, I come here to challenge myself. I have a very boring life, if any of you ever know me, and so I need to practice at something, and this is it. Well, I don't know how appropriate this is, but there is the word blackbird. So I don't know, I didn't go with the theme, but there's a blackbird in it. And he goes to heaven. Gulf Coast Highway, worked the rest. He worked the rice fields in their cold dark bells. He worked the oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. And the only thing we've ever known is this old house here by the road. And when he dies, he says he'll catch a blackbird's wing and he'll fly away to heaven on some sweet blue-bonnet spring. She walked in springtime when I was home. Our days were sweet, our nights were warm. The seasons passed, the jobs would come, the flowers fade, and this old house felt so alone when the world took me away. And when she dies, she says she'll catch a blackbird's wing and she'll fly away to heaven on some sweet blue-bonnet spring. Highway 90, the jobs are gone. We tend our garden, we set the sun. This is the only place on earth bluebonnets grow, and every year they come and go. This old house here by the road. And when we die, we'll catch a blackbird's wing and we'll fly away to heaven on some sweet bluebonnet spring. And when we die, we'll catch a blackbird's wing and we'll fly away to heaven on some sweet blue-bonnet spring.
Thank you. Yeah. So I don't have a full 5-minute piece tonight. Instead, I made a list of all of my skeletons. And so through the evening, I thought I would just sort of intersperse a few of them here or there in between performers. So number 12, when I was a little girl, probably like 4, I used to steal toys from my best friend. And I felt justified because she had so many, and I knew that she wouldn't possibly miss them. And particularly, there was this mini little car convertible with like people. And the saddest part is that I stole it, and then I never played with it because out of guilt and fear that I would be found out. So I hid it like behind the record player, like in this huge oak cabinet, and would just like look at it and covet it, never to actually be played with. So it's number 12. And and without further ado, we have another fabulous storyteller, our friend Amelia Sidlatsky. Would you like a stool?
No, I'm driving, thank you. Yeah, no. I'll just stay here and, which one? I was watching this all along and I don't remember. Right here is the mouth.
Yep.
Thank you.
You got it.
You're great, thank you. Hi, everyone, whoops. Uh-oh.
This is like sophisticated for us. We don't, you know.
Now the top one went.
This one.
Deal, da-dum.
like good. That's good, right?
It'll work.
I think that's
How's that? Do you think so? Okay. Christine, that was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. I feel like I'm home again. Yeah, with my family. One of my families, certainly. Yes. Skeletons. Recently, within the last year, I discovered that my grandma Rosie was a revolutionary in Russia, and that had she not come to the States, she would have been arrested and thrown into prison. And I wouldn't be here today, which is really an important piece of my information. But anyway, she came to the country, she married a tailor, had 4 kids. She played pinochle with the guys and always whipped them, always. She was something else. She would go home with the pennies, right? But anyway, and she couldn't cook for anything, so my mother learned and my aunts learned, and I ultimately, and you know me, I've always bragged about having a restaurant when I was 23 in New York City, and learning how to cook and whatever. And it was coming Christmas time, and I had a couple of kids working for me from the Midwest, and I knew they weren't going home, and so I was thinking about what to do, and I had been going up to Woodstock with my friend Rush Harp. He has a house up there. And so I asked him if it'd be all right if I brought them with us and make like some kind of a Christmas thing. And he said, it's fine. So what I did was I'm going to buy a turkey. I'd never done a turkey before. And we picked it up at the grocery store, and it was frozen solid, and we threw it in the trunk, and I'm worried about botulism, so I want to get it back there as soon as we can. And we put it in the refrigerator when we got there. And the next morning, it's like Christmas Eve, and it's time to cook the turkey. And yeah, so it's frozen solid. And I never had to deal with that before, so I have to be creative, and I put it on a tray in front of the fireplace. And I figured it would, defrost that way, but it did not, and I ended up putting it into the oven with a lot of bacon on top, and the gizzards still inside because I couldn't get them out, and tried to cook it. And with turkeys, you got to have so many pounds per minute or so many minutes per pound. And I didn't know what they were, but I figured at some point there'll be turkey. And there wasn't. There was a lot of bacon. Every so often I could see people were snitching the bacon off the turkey, and then I had to put more on it. And that was Christmas Eve, and I think it went into Christmas Eve night, and it went, I have no recollection of when we actually ate. But me, the big restaurant cooker, whatever, I didn't understand turkeys. And of course we were all high, and we were all spaced out, and so sometimes that doesn't bother you when you're hungry. You don't think of things like that. But anyway, I don't know if we ever got to eat or what we ate. And that's how my Christmas went that year. I thought I was doing a big something nice for everybody, and it ended up I wasn't. I had no clue what I was doing. And so that's my skeleton. I don't ever talk about that. You guys are, and keep it under your hats, right? It doesn't get out. So anyway, I'm sure they appreciated getting, having enough pot to keep them happy, and, they didn't care. But that was my Christmas anyway, and my skeleton. So it's good to see all of you. Thank you.
Okay. Small person. Thank you, Amelia. She has the bluest eyes. Amazing. And yeah, cooking turkey is scary. Whether you're high or not, to me. Our next performer is going to be playing a song for us, Mr. Steve Mole. Thank you.
No, thank you. Oops. Hello. So tonight I'd like to honor my friend, and some of you might have known her also, was Dawn Barbieri. She was the assistant superintendent of the Ramsdale Library, and she was also the librarian. And she was, well, yesterday was her 1-year anniversary of her death, so it was October 4th, and so she could also play the saxophone. She could also, well, she could actually play 3 saxophones, but not at once, of course. So I'd like to honor her tonight, and this is the band that I started, and she was the main instrumentalist in it, let me put it that way, out of nowhere. And she gave me this little, it's not a poem, essay or whatever, in 2007. So, let's see. She was 62 when she passed away, and I'm going to just read this, it's short, what she wrote. We're now caught in the big picture, and with Pan's hooves, step lightly on mother's soil, stirring our ancestral leaves, dry, fallen constitutions, combustible. We are the last flock, the lost descendants of Pan. In our desperate hands are the divining rods, held straight, seeking water, seeking dampness in the wake of our end times. We were careless, we were uncaring in our courses. We did not hold dear our sacredness of ancient forests, ancient waters, the sweet waving seas of fertile grass, and the ice caps. We did not hold in respectful regard those that flew, swam, galloped, crawled. We did not hold in respectful regard ourselves. We are living with the bigger barren picture. We are the descendants of Pan, gripping divining rods, cleaved hooves, stepping lightly upon mother soil, stirring our ancestral leaves, dry, fallen, constitutions so combustible. Okay. So, this is a song she enjoyed playing. It's called Flowers on Fences. And this was, I wrote this after Princess Diana's death. And it seems like that, there was all flowers on all the fences in England and everything. And I think it seems like that's when all the flowers on the fences really took off, because after that, I mean, they were all over the place. So this is Flowers on Fences. Flowers on fences, too many cards by the curbside, too many people on benches, too many memories are sad, too many babies are dying, too many children are missing, too many mothers are crying, fathers aren't there. Enough's been said about this foolish game. What did you expect? Morning kiss, a noonday smile. evening's warm embrace, yeah, yeah. An evening's warm embrace. Every day at the break of dawn, you're out of bed to play the pawn. Gotta be a better way to make it through another day. Different day, but the same old thing. Same old play you're starring in. Look both ways, never take a step. Grab those dreams and don't look back. Enough's been said about this foolish game. What did you expect? Morning kiss, a noonday smile, an evening's warm embrace, yeah, yeah. An evening's warm embrace. Just pretend that I kissed your lips, pretend that I held you tight. Just pretend that I held your hand so long in the night. See your face in the morning sun, your eyes in the stars at night. Hear your voice with the birds that sing, your soul with the birds that fly by night. Enough's been said about this foolish game. What did you expect? Morning kiss, a noonday smile, an evening's warm embrace, yeah, yeah. An evening's warm embrace. Too many flowers on fences, too many cards by the curbside, too many people on benches, too many memories are sad, too many babies are dying, too many children are missing, too many mothers are crying, fathers aren't there. Enough's been said about this foolish game. What did you expect? A morning kiss, a noonday smile, an evening's warm embrace, yeah, yeah. An evening's warm embrace. All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you. So I have one of these CDs. If somebody wants it, they can take it and maybe hand it or pass it around to the other people. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Beautiful. So number 18, my list of skeletons in the closet. When I turned 30, I had a complete crisis of being, and I've actually probably talked about this here many times, but and I left a fiance 2 months before the wedding, right before we were going to send out the invitations. Everything else was planned. And I ran away, and I subsequently, a year later, left my public school teaching career. So, number 18, more to come. And next we have an IWOW regular, Miss Deborah Macheski. Please welcome her.
So I have 3 little poems tonight. The first one is the only new one. It's called Thursday Morning, and I wrote it last week. In the quiet early morning darkness, I write some lines to you, words from my soul, written in pencil. My hand moves across the page, trying to reach you, to touch you inside your heart, wanting you to know how I feel in this moment, how my heart hurts, the emptiness in my belly, the not knowing how you are, if you are near or gone for good. My eyes fill with the heaviness of the rain clouds, the view out across the lake, bits of color in unexpected places. I want to curl up with you and hold you tight, wrapped in warm blankets as the rain beats down on the window glass. The dim light from the other side of the room gives a warm glow to this short moment. I miss you, I whisper as I close my eyes. My head and heart fill with bright and colorful moments from the summer. Where does the time go? All the forgotten memories live in a tiny chamber of my heart. Sometimes I wonder when I lost the key. And then I have a couple that are more for this time of year. This is how we honor the shortening days, burrowing into to nest through coming cold. As I step outside the house, I notice the chipped and peeling paint is much pronounced against the turns of yellow, red, and orange. Careful not to trip upon the loose cobblestones, I smell the scent of dirt from beneath where the brown summer table stood, rolled away with her matching chairs, the exposed decay emphasized by strong breezes and pelting rain. All slows down to a crawling pace, conserving energy. Low glints of sunlight find their way through, naked undergrowth to shine upon me. I squint my eyes to really see you before the light is too dim, honoring all this hard work that nature has done to keep the earth tight and safe in coming months, when snow will blanket every place. And just one last one. I went searching for myself through fields of tall grass, over the moss-covered stepping stones, following the trails forged by others. Sometimes I use my hiking sticks, propelling myself forward, looking down at the ground, watching my step, pushing branches out of my way. Trees shade the path. There is an opening. I look down at the valley below. The many colors, reds, oranges, yellows, and browns, the dark, deep green of pines act as dark shadows across the ridge to the east. The loud rumbling and tumbling of flowing water, rushing through deep gullies, eating away at the earth, exposing many pebbles, rocks, and old bits of slag from old ore iron mines. Water flows over the edges of the old cattle drinking hole. Green growth lushly decorates the circumference. Now cows drink. No cows drink here now. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. And up next we have Joanne Spees. Is she? Mm-hmm. Let's give her some chairs and a round of applause. Oh.
I'm just carrying.
Do you want to stay up and do call and response with me?
Okay.
Okay. This is a call and response. And it's a Rav drum, R-A-V, yeah.
What do you need? What do you need? I acknowledge you. What do you need? Fear of winter. I acknowledge you. What do you need? Love. I acknowledge you. What do you need?
Fill the space, fill the time. We're gonna do we have so many people, we need to add more chairs, which is fabulous. Okay, here's my next skeleton. I'll call this number 69. After leaving the fiance, I went abroad, and it was actually around the time that Eat, Pray, Love came out, or the book or the movie. People were saying, oh, you're doing that thing, right? Well, my friends subsequently dubbed that journey of mine Grippo's European Fuck Tour. So it wasn't quite Eat, Pray, Love. Let's just put it that way. And how are we with chairs? Still going? Because also, yeah, well, they're going to have to come in here. Yeah, there's a chair here and a chair here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats in here if you don't mind making new friends, which we love to do at IWOW. And you could almost, make another aisle. Okay, I'll just hang out. Bubsy, I used to sleep in the I remember like points in my life where I would just sleep in the sit down and sleep in the shower. I've never been a morning person, and now my almost 3-year-old wakes me up before 6 every day. So tonight's a late night for me. Okay, without further ado, good. Okay, shake it out. Get ready, folks, for Miss Jeannie Bassis.
Perfect. Hey, IWOW crowd. I'm not doing the theme. I didn't even pay attention to it. Sometimes I really do, and sometimes I just don't. This is a song of mine. I think I've done it before at IWOW, but it's like one of those kinds of things where I need my songs. So I need you to sing with me on the chorus. This is called Don't Push the River, and the chorus goes like this. Don't push the river. Want to try that? Don't push the river. It flows on its own. It flows on its own. Life is sweet when you're a giver. Life is sweet when you're, hey Evelyn, a giver. River strong, take me home. River strong, take me home. So that's your part. Let's try it one more time. Don't push the river. It flows. It flows on its own. Life is sweet. Life is sweet when you're a giver. River strong. River strong. Take me home. Take me home. Thank you. I blew clouds past the half moon. Fiery embers calm me deep. Believe and take a leap. All the gifts that come and go so soon. Here we go. Don't push the river. You sound good. It flows, and we're on TV. On its own. Life is sweet when you're a giver. River strong, take me home. Don't know how my rent is coming. If I'll make it through July, yes I did. I'll go out in my garden, sing my songs to the sky. Sing my song to the sky. Get out of your own way. Waste not a single day. Endless flow, all is one. So don't down like the beaver. Choose what ways feel most true. Meander more. Be the receiver. Let your gray skies turn to blue. Let your gray skies turn to blue. Don't push the river. It flows on its own. Life is sweet when you're a giver. River strong, take me home. River strong, won't you take me home? Thank you. And I just want to say, Deb really liked the word meander. She talked about meandering in art and writing.
Yeah.
She liked that word. Thanks, everybody.
Folks, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do this right now. I have a serious announcement as Detective Charmant of this county. I'm sorry to report some disturbing news. I've had to call upon Chief Detective Inspector Phelps all the way from London due to the horrific discovery this afternoon, which we're all so worried about. Folks, please get your after dinner drinks and have a seat and just sit tight, okay? Yeah. Inspector?
Thank you, dear. I hate to do this, people. It's just for nerves. Now, videographer, help me out here, because this is going to be a record. Seems like once a month I'm doing this. Are we good?
Looks comfortable now.
Detective Chief Inspector Phelps from London. Skeleton comes from the ancient Greek skeletos, for dried up in its archaic form, skeleton. I regret I must do this. It can be difficult to see the full human body set before you in a public setting with not a stitch covering, not even of that integumentary fleshy sort we so admire and so fixate upon. But this display of dry bones is, I assure you, ladies and gentlemen of the lodge, entirely necessary. And before the evening retires, I promise you someone at this lodging will be in cuffs. For there is one among us here tonight who knows whom this form belonged to. Now, I do not want just yet to prejudice you as to the victim's sex or gender, what he or she went forth perhaps in London society as. For now, consider only the tragedy standing before us, bones belonging to a human being, a living, perhaps even fine person, who was here on these very grounds within the past hours, succumbed before their natural time, and then being wiped clean indeed as Lady Charlotte's dessert plate an hour ago after offering it to the cat. Skeletos, dried up. Yes, sir? In the back? Oh, fine. You think you see a distinct maleness here? Narrow hips, I presume, is that it? Well, as I learned at the academy in my long years with our gruesome medical examiners, the female bones do speak usually with that wider pelvic outlet useful for the differential capability with pregnancy and childbearing. Okay, so assuming this was male, we press to the point. Who was he? Please look around you and ask, what male of any age from, say, 8 to 50 is missing from this room? Well, there are others at dinner, or at afternoon tea, or the hunt. Lady Robertson, what do you think? Paul, anyone? Anyone? Think, as I myself have done since arriving up from London on this afternoon's train, brought here by Detective Inspector Charmant, to investigate the origin and meaning of this tragic end. No? No. I see it in your eyes. There is no one. And Lady Charlotte has shown me the log. Not a single person taking the autumnal week has gone missing, and all are in this room right now. So, we must consider the staff. And once again, Thank you for the logs, ma'am. All staff are healthy and being held in the kitchen pending this inquiry. Our skeleton here, I will tell you now, and I will brook no laughter, was found in a closet. Yes, not an armoire, so not in any of your rooms. Breathe a sigh of relief for that. He was indeed packed into the broom and rake closet at the back of the garden shed. Take that in. A mere 100 paces from the kitchen, the bleached lie. And even closer to the emergency stairs descending from your bedrooms on the floor above. But, what we don't know yet is whose boy this is. You are right to gasp. This was a teenaged boy. The flexible wrists, thumbs permanently bent from years of texting with a heavy iPhone. Not a one of you has any registered children, grandchildren, or nephews of this category. So, we will now begin interviews to discover who here has been harboring a friend, as you will call him, a delicate soul able to fold himself into checked baggage, and once here, slipping into your armoire when the maid cleans your room, and the point of it all, coming out at night, shudder the thought, to play. We already know which of you, thin though you be, has been sneaking extra meals at midnight, and the wine. We still need you to solve for us the extraordinary skeletos, the desiccating chemistry that rendered a dancing boy into an arid, unmoving set of bones, and then the chemistry, or dare I say, alchemy, that rendered it further into a plastic of uncanny similitude to items hanging up in the Halloween aisle at Walmart. Does anyone now want to confess? You would spare us all the indignities of an all-night haul. Yes, Lady Charlotte? Very well. D.I. Charmant. Take Lady Charlotte next door. The rest of you, don't go anywhere. I think he has to leave because there's more dancing or something coming.
Can you just sit in the gun?
You want to leave him up?
No, you put him there.
Oh, sure. There you go. He's in the audience. Yeah.
Does that get in the way of your...
It Phelps? I was actually reading the origin of the phrase was in like the 1830s in England, the UK, they made it legal for doctors to autopsy bodies for the purposes of science. But before that, they were using criminals only. And so, you couldn't, it would be unsightly to have your cadaver out. So they would shove them in the back, in the closet, in the cupboard. And I guess that's where the phrase came from. So we have another duet, a musical duet here. We have Eric and Frankie.
Hi, Iowa family.
Hi, everybody. I haven't seen you in a while. So good to be here.
Hey, Desecrate. That's his name, right? Desecrate? No. Oh, yeah. Skeletos.
He likes me.
Skeletos.
He's looking
though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Though I know I never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more.
Thank you. I love you guys so much. Thank you. I miss you too. So we have, we are gonna ask the people who are out there if they would like to come in here. So we're gonna close these doors and turn the lights completely off for our next performance. Do we need to move the mic too? We didn't discuss that. Okay, like off the table, like, okay. Got it? Okay, so bear with us. The lights will be off briefly, but it'll be worth it. For Jenny Clark and Annie Crowfoot doing a performance for us. two amaze me. Wild. Thank you. Cool. Okay, number 74. Part of my European fuck tour included a real-life Spanish lover, a Buddhist, who was actually indirectly responsible for me landing in the Berkshires. So thanks, Carlos, wherever you are. And up next is Stan Spencer with a story. Thank you.
I was 9 years old, sitting in the middle front seat of a 1947 Dodge. My father was driving, my mother was riding shotgun. She never used that term. In the back seat was my brother, 10-year-old brother David, and a 10-year-old girl. Her name was Carol. They were both, believe it or not, king and queen of Vacation Bible School. They were crowned king and queen because they had memorized more Bible verses than any other kid in the program. I was the skeleton deep in the Baptist closet, and I didn't memorize squat. They also won a trip to Boston to see the Chicago White Sox play the Red Sox at Fenway Park. Now, you got to remember, this was 1951, before the Mass Pike was built. And the only way for us to get to Boston was to use Route 2, more familiarly called the Mohawk Trail. The Mohawk Trail littered with phony wigwams, tomahawks, and tom-toms. And it took over 4 hours to get to Boston. Game time was 1 o'clock. We left at 7:15, picked up the Queen, and we were on our way. We got around the hairpin turn, only 6 miles from home, and the king in the back seat rolled down the window and threw up. My father drove up to the top of the hill, parked the car at the Wigwam Dairy Bar. We all got out of the car. My father was washing down the side of the car while Kara and I watched, trying not to gag. My mother cleaned up my brother David. My father said, "Everybody back in the car." My mother said, and she announced that she was going to sit in the middle front, and David was going to ride shotgun, and I was going to get in back with Carol. I didn't like the idea, but back then you did what you were told. We drove for about another 30, 35 miles, and Carol said, "Let's play a game, front seat against the back seat. See who can come up with the most Bible verses to cheer on the Red Sox at Fenway Park." My mother said, "Sounds like fun." I thought to myself, holy crap. Then my mother said, "You go first." So Carol said, Psalm 28:6, "Go Red Sox. Be not afraid, I am with you always." My mother responded, she said, Joshua 1:9, "Go Red Sox. Be strong, do not tremble." Then Carol said, Job 38:3, "Go Ted Williams. Gird up your loins like a man." My father almost drove off the road. My mother snickered. My brother David laughed out loud. I said, "What does that mean? Gird up your loins." My mother and father looked straight ahead, and Carol said, "It means get some, be a man." I said, "Get some what?" My mother and father continued to look straight ahead. Carol cupped her hands to my ears and she said, "Be a man, get some," boom. And then the radiator exploded. There was hot water and steam flying all over the front end of the car. My father steered carefully into a garage in the town of Orange, less than halfway to Fenway Park. And my father and mother got out of the car, and my mother started talking with a woman who was in the yard next door to the garage, As my father approached the mechanic, I knew that he did not have enough money to pay for any repairs. Then I saw him talking with the mechanic. Then I saw him shake the mechanic's hand. My mother hugged the woman next door. They both returned to the car. My father said, "He can fix our car in a little over an hour." My mother smiled and said, "We've been invited to lemonade and cookies." A hug and a handshake. Those were the days. We arrived at Fenway Park at 2:20. It had been a slugfest. It was only the fourth inning. The score was tied 7-7. We got to see Clyde Vollmer hit 2 of his 3 home runs. We got to stand up with 30,000 other people during the 7th inning stretch and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And then each one of us got to yell at Ted Williams to gird up his loins like a man. We left Fenway Park at 4:45, happy but tired. The Red Sox had won 13-10. I learned 3 things that day. Number 1, my brother David was a pretty smart kid. Girls know more about boys than boys will ever know about girls. And my mother and father are the real king and queen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stan. Okay, I should mention too, we're cruising right along, and there's room because some people didn't show up. So if like anyone's feeling called to come up on the stage for any reason, you're more than welcome to. Just give me a little wave. Anyone? Okay, just let me know. Okay, up next we have Jedediah Shields.
Hi, everybody. Hi. So I took the theme to heart. This should be fun. Let me find it. Okay, yeah, you want me to move this thing?
Just push it down.
Mm-hmm.
No. Just like yourself. You're good to go.
Got it. Okay. As I sit here, day after day, it becomes clear how fear rules my ways, my thinking, my being, and most of all, my actions. Within this fear, I have learned to lie to you and all the world around me. These lies were a tool in an attempt to hide. But as I grew, traveled the roads of my life, I've weaved a tapestry of routine around and between, holding the shield of my lies around me. All the while, it seemed a successful scheme. But now I see how behind this veil, the fear only grew, and so did the lie. And as I sit here, looking back at the tales of my life, through the haze of smoke and mirrors, I see the methods and the madness. I remember the moments, all of the crossroads, the opportunities from which I ran, or even pushed through, but only just enough to survive. She said she'd wished I'd never been born. And already, so did I. But when she jerked the wheel in an attempt to seal our fate, I grabbed it out of fear. And as I spoke, out came the lies, in a steady stream that kept me afloat. When I began to fear the very acts of defecation and urination, I lied. When the boys in my class began to speak of erections and orgasms, I lied. The first times in my life when women offered me their love and their bodies, and even though I wanted it so bad, I lied. I remember the near paralysis of this fear as if it were yesterday, because it is still my today. Every place I've ever been, new or old, every room I've ever entered, every time I've uttered a word, it is through the filter of my fear, and done so with a lie. Whether to you or to me, there seems little difference, because this is how I learned to hide. And somehow, one day, there came a woman into my life. With the bounty and the beauty of her heart and her mind, she offered me everything one could ever want from another. And from the very beginning, I lied. As we grew and she blossomed, I offered just enough in order to continue to hide. So I nurtured her in a way. And as she nurtured me, well, you see by now, I lied. Then, after years of journeying through the elaborate corridors of my mind, only to come upon another dead end, to begin another series of hairpin turns along my downhill spiral, all the while shadowed, colored, and shaped by the nature of my lies. She'd had enough on the inside. And in an explosion of frustration and emotion, she slammed the wheel in the only direction she felt she could. This time, there was no grabbing it. When I thought I'd awoken, battered and bruised in some surreal seizure of shock, all I could see, all I could feel was the fear. And it seemed my lies no longer worked. As I look back, it appears as if I've never awoken. The whole story, the whole of my life seems like a strange dream. How could it not? When you find yourself in the same place you started so long ago. Perhaps it is now that I'm finally awake, but of course, I'm not really sure. All I truly know is that I still sit here, wrapped just as tightly as ever in my blanket of fears and lies, yet wishing I could still hide.
Thank you, Jedediah. And we just have a few more here. Did Ronnie show up tonight? No Ronnie. Okay, just a few more. Okay, next up is Annie Southard. Are you ready? What's that?
I've been waiting to get up to use the bathroom.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll say my piece. Okay. Okay. We'll just wait for Annie. Well, I think we just have Andreas is last. So what I'll say is numbers, sort of like numbers 1 and 2 on my list. The main one is that I kind of always feel like I'm doing it wrong. And it was maybe a little bit of yours, Jedediah. I was gonna share that, but like like very often, probably most of my life, I just always assume I'm doing it wrong, whether it's making a turkey or getting up in the morning or mothering myself and my almost 3-year-olds, or hosting and being a person in the world. Just like, don't believe I could possibly be getting it right. So thanks, Joanne, for the healing, because we can't be wrong. The Deb card I picked right before this was like sort of something to the effect of "be here now." So thanks, Deb. Yeah, and the last bit is that, I'm pretty sure I'm gay, maybe bisexual, so that's cool to be able to just say. So that's that. So without further ado, Annie Southard.
Good evening, everyone. I think I should put a little disclaimer on this first. I wrote this at a time when I was really struggling to hold the multi-dimensionality of COVID and all the different points of view, the polarities. I was really struggling, and I was seeking to find a way to hold it all together in a place of non-judgment. But some of my judgment is going to be coming through this page as I wrote this, and it came to me. So I think great art does have the potential to offend. And if it does, thank you for allowing yourself to feel so deeply. So, what if I told you that America was great? Or what if I said it's the land of the slave? Or what if I said Trump is all the rage? You want to pick a side? A place to stand where you can point your finger and claim your spot? You want to prove your point? Like the tiny tip on the edge of your pen? What is a point but a dot, alone and feeble? It's only a spot. But what if you could draw a line and connect the dots and see for the first time the way it's connected to you and the way you view the epitome of our stolen country? Because guess what? We aren't free yet. Follow me. You were born on a planet in a country we call home of the brave, land of the free. You were put into school against your will, and basically you were given a pill, and you were spelled and hexed by words and rules, and you became a tool, and you were tested like a tool. But not like a trickster who's wily and sly, but more like an imbecile who can't think to ask why. Stay with me. To initiate, you graduate, and you get a piece of paper folded double, aka a diploma. But this is trouble, because next comes a job. You gotta pay to live on the planet you were born on, Bob. Ain't nothing for free, except slavery. This is scam, this is crook. I'm gonna have to write a new book. Don't clap for me. Close your eyes, put your head down. I'm gonna teach you how to cook. Now you are an existence composed of resistance, exposed to this instance, where life's a reaction to each fraction that you faction. You move in a groove, while blinded you lose. And in this place, we are given a notion to open up to each emotion, where the fires are churning, they're yearning for burning. You either decide to reside with your passions buried inside, or you choose to take hold. Or you choose to take hold, despite the chains, off with the old. Because you've been living in a lie, you've been living in a matrix of lies, of fake tricks, where illusions of fear and panic and anxiety are fortified. The task of the mass, creating disaster. Taskmasters laugh at you bastards, cover your mouth, don't speak out! You're being dressed for the table, just like in fables. We've reached the tis, we've reached the pith. Tis, 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 the lack, the epitome, the epitome, the epitome. 1 minute. Tis, tis, tisk. The epitome of the lack of epiphany. No originality. This is all just formality. It's time to explore a new frontier. Are you a settler? Are you a pioneer? Will you change? Do you want to change? What would you do if you knew how to rearrange the mange of globalism, socialism, capitalism, commercialism, materialism, fascism, or any ism? Isms are prisms, you know. So take your ideas, wrap them up in gold, put them on the stove. Don't sell them, don't waste them, put them on the stove. Make them into gravy, baby, and dress every maybe with a dream and a scheme to glean from all things. Speak one vision, not division, where your word is your wand, not your bond, and all things are up for revision. Because we're taking light, we're taking dark, bound for collision, going on a rescue mission to release those in prison. Because the child in you, the child in me, we're locked behind barcodes, like equipment, like a PC, attached to a network where nobody's free. Are we the net profit? Are we what remains after deductions? This calls for a serious disruption. We are the bars, we are the prison, entombed in atoms, cleaving while breathing, heaving what we must be, what we must leave behind. This corruption all exists within me. I thought it was them, but it just can't be. I am entombed in a womb in a matrix of hate. The mother of greed's been watering my seed. Service to self, not service to thee. My eyes are opening, god damn, it's blinding to see. Victimized, traumatized, tranquilized, sexualized, hypnotized, monopolized, criticized, full of lies. Have I been plagiarized? Am I a copy and paste? Hugh pierces veils, sharp like quills, without haste. Pizza Gates, Bill Gates. I am the gate. As I mediate between all this love and all this hate. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the light. In dichotomy's house, I am the cat and I'm the mouse. I am where east meets west, where north meets south. I am the center of this universe, this one verse. This is the cross we carry, the place in the skull we call the cabal. We've been blinded by light. Spiritual warfare happens in the dark of night. Shadows need some reckoning. The ghosts of Christmas past are beckoning.
Thank you. So last tonight is our host, Andreas Engel. Welcome.
Thank you. Before I start, I just want to give a couple shout outs. Everyone in this room deserves to be thanked for something, and I can't do that, but I just want to mention a couple people. One, of course, you know Denise. She's behind the scenes. It's very easy to overlook like the things that go on behind the scenes. Actually, I got to see the skeletons standing in the lights, getting the light on their strips of paint, which was really fun. And then Christina, she brought the flowers that are outside, and I just have to tell you, I have seen her, first off, she has her garden right around the corner, which is just absolutely spectacular. I'm sure a lot of you know this. But she goes around and she leaves these flowers, I saw her leaving them in extra special teas. And the joy that it brings is just so amazing. So thank you, Christine. You're just, thank you. This story that I'm going to read tonight is something I wrote many years ago, just a little context. Many years ago, I was feeling this, just inundated by this new climate of alternative facts, fake news, and then fact checkers, and I got roped into all of that, and it just got all whipped up into a frenzy. And I decided, you know what, rather than going down that rabbit hole of, trying to resolve what the facts of the matter are, I'm going to look for a different outlet. So I came up with this idea to write a book of fiction, a collection of stories that I'm calling a book of lies. So this is one of the stories. It's called Cold Shoulder. If it shouted loud enough from its shoulder perch into the host's ear, the devil's voice might carry straight through the host's head and out the opposite ear for the angel to hear on the other side. But the angel never responded. Louder. So the devil couldn't ever know for sure that it was heard. It cursed and it sputtered incessantly in different tongues and accents, screeching for attention from the angel it couldn't see. The host's stupid, hairy lump of a head was too much in the way to catch more than a possible glimpse of aura. And the Empyrean directive strictly forbade conscience guides from leaving their shoulder posts, even for a moment, while contracted to a mortal host. The devil's screaming was the unseen cause of tinnitus that the host first complained of. A chronic, inorganic aluminum whine in his ear, loud at times, muted at others, and constant. Doctors peered in and saw nothing more than their own guesses, prescribing words of narrow wisdom along with an amorphous course of medications. The devil mocked the host's willful ignorance, the taking of every token pill without question, shouting both at it through the host to the angel and receiving no active response from either. Why the devil cared at all for the angel's attention was a point of its own restless rumination. Both were sexless, or so it supposed. And so the notion of a carnal attraction presented more of an affliction. And yet, the angel surely was a confederate in forging their host's tempering of conscience and temptation, the deep purpose of their marriage. And so the devil pined over the angel, wanting to know of its idiosyncrasies. As an opposite, by design, learning about the angel would illuminate its own polar attributes. The devil's greatest fear was the prospect of ambivalence from the angel. Maybe it selfishly didn't recognize their shared purpose. Or worse, the devil's own existence. Maybe it piously was acting alone, attempting to lead the host towards its own colorless, frumpish, straight and narrow image. Surely the angel was aware that the Empyrean directive required a distinct contrast of values to be presented, one from each of the host's shoulders, for the host to consider the direction of its own conscience. Whatever the case, the devil decided the angel was failing miserably. The host was popping pills pushed by medical apostates, and just as quickly as was spiraling into a vacant existence. The devil reveled in its caustic influence. A particular victory for the devil came in the form of the host one day muttering about hearing voices in his head. The devil was ecstatic. It was the first evidence that its tireless shouting in the host's ear was getting through. Maybe that meant it was getting through to the angel too. Maybe all its blabbering blasphemies were effectively rattling the angel into a submissive, slumbering depression. As the devil's spirits lifted, the host's spirits spiraled downward. The nameless pills lost their luster, and the host began shouting in random outbursts at unknown entities. This confounded the devil because its realm was that of entities. Though it couldn't see the angel due to an immovable obstacle, it would be able to see other demons in their midst. If the host were communicating with one, it would surely see it. Unless it were the angel, working in some adroit effort to exorcise the host of all its defects. The devil hadn't witnessed any such approach with its previous conscious partners. All the other angels had employed tactics of gentle influence, encouragement, or at most a stern warning in the form of a vision or a dream. Nothing at all like the present vulgar spectacle. After sanity and health had run its course, the host met its end. The devil licked the pointed arrow of its tail. With the Empyrean contract completed, it was now free to meet its counterpart. That, said the angel, was an eternity.
Well, before we fully conclude, I have a few announcements, and we'll open it up to anybody else who has announcements. Okay, so first off, this is from our friend Susan Salovey, but actually from our friend Stephen Glick. So many of you remember a dear, beloved IWOW friend, Miss Diana Felber, who we lost this past year. And this Saturday, October 8th at 8 p.m. at the Lenox Community Center is a Better Late Than Never evening celebrating Diana Felber. They're going to have the Wanda Houston Band. Steve says, bring your dancing shoes and let's joyfully celebrate the life and spirit of our beloved sister and friend Diana. So everyone's invited. He did say RSVP, but I'm sure you can just go or email him or Susan or someone. Sure, it's this Saturday, October 8th at 8 p.m. At the Lenox Community Center. Upstairs in the Lenox Community Center. I think of Diana and Stephen. She called him Sweetie. Whenever she read her story, she always referred to him as Sweetie. Yeah, so that's that announcement. Also, Andreas has created an IWOW YouTube channel. So all of these are being recorded and put available through CTSB, but also through the YouTube channel, selected clips and shorts. And he wants you to know that any of you can use that as a platform to amplify your voice or your message. So if you have like a link to your book or your performances or whatever, you can absolutely forward that off to him, and he's happy to share that, and then you can pass those links around. So that's like a really cool thing that's happening. And I think that might be it for me. Does anybody have any other pertinent announcements coming up? Yep, Joanne?
And our friend Sean Stevens of Stockbridge, Muncie, friend, is in the Indigenous Walk on Monday in Great Barrington. It's at 11 a.m.
Great. Yeah, so all weekend it's Indigenous Peoples Weekend here. There's something at the Mahawi, and there's the walk at 11. Do you know where it starts? Does it start? I don't either. Starts at Giggle Park. That's what I was going to say. Giggle Park, which is the park behind Town Hall where the gazebo is, yeah. Francine?
Hi, everybody, Frankie. So Eric and I are staying at the West Stockbridge Farmers Market on Thursday from like 3 to 5:30.
Cool. This Thursday, West Stockbridge Farmers Market. I was planning on going. I didn't even know you were going to be there. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah.
One last thing. I'm in a show paintings that is connected to a wonderful musical presentation by Reggie Harris. And a partner of his, I can't remember his name, Greg Greenaway, I think. And it's a musicale called Deeper Than the Skin. And it's at the Spencertown Art Center, Art Academy, this Sunday, and I know they're looking for people to fill seats. And there isn't a charge, a donation if you wish. But yeah, if you're over in New York State already.
Yep, in the afternoon probably, yeah.
In the afternoon at 2. And then the show opens right after.
Great.
I have another thing I just remembered. I don't know if you all know Harriet next door. She's the publisher of the Artful Mind. She mentioned to me that she has some kind of a production that she's doing, and she needs an actress for something. So if anybody is interested, let me know and I'll connect you with her.
Cool. Yep, Ted? Inspector?
Remember Robert Oakes?
Yeah.
He's moved to Connecticut to teach there.
Oh.
Robert and Kate.
Yeah, Robert Kate. So a year ago, I got inspired by listening to his ghost talk over in Lenox. I got inspired to write my own ghost story, which I told you about a year ago. One other thing that makes it an announcement is that in the story, I have dates. And so it's been fun for me this year to live inside the actual dates that I have written. So that's an unusual experience. And the last of the dates is coming up October 15 and 16, 2022. But I wouldn't bother telling you this except that I put the book on my website, tedphelps.com, as a flip book. So you just go like this.
Cool.
If you have a big screen, it's like this, and it's 33 pages or something. And so I had fun with that.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah. It was, now I've forgotten the famous writer that he talks about in Lennox Lewisham. Edith Wharton. He told us in the graveyard that Edith wrote ghost stories to free her of her own ghosts. And so as soon as he did that, I thought, oh, I almost died truly in 1954 in the Adirondacks in a hurricane that knocked a tree over. I was saved like that by my father. And I don't mind having died, but what my parents would have dealt with has always been kind of a ghost. And so that process of writing that helped.
Cool.
Thanks,
Okay.
Robert.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, everyone. Great night. Come back next month. Oh, last thing, if anyone wants to host next month, tell Denise or me or Andreas. Yeah, Denise is probably the one. Host, it's really fun. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Inwards, outwards. Inwards, outwards.